Team selections for Liverpool against Leicester. Lynchy, I'll come to you first. I think it's safe to say, even after what happened to Alisson Becker last weekend, he will still be between the sticks, and that won't be a problem. But a couple of interesting selections, I think, particularly at centre-back, but possibly even at full-back as well. Kostas Tsimikas, I think, made his Premier League debut last weekend. Is there a shout that he could come into the team?
We spoke about it earlier. I think possibly not, because I just don't think that Klopp's in the mindset where he wants to be given the fullbacks, the backup fullbacks any minutes at the moment, because he's concerned about sort of uncertainty in other parts of the pitch. So I think it's going to be Trent and Robbo back in there. Centre half, I would like to see Kabak and Davis. I don't think it's going to be that. No, I think he would probably err on the side of Kabak and Henderson in there. I think my preference would be to go with the two centre halves, strengthen midfield if possible, and go with that. But I think the manager will probably go with Kabak and Henderson. That's my prediction.
Yeah, I'm completely with you, to be honest. I think that's what I would do, is put Henderson in midfield, but I can see certainly a situation where Henderson plays centre-back. Marcus, what are you going to go for your back four, assuming, of course, you go with Alisson in goal?
Yeah, I think like I said before, I'd start the two new signings, but I think he will play Henderson Kabak. But I think, as I mentioned before, again, I think it's time just to throw them into the deep end. I don't think there's any other choice, because you're talking. You don't know how long Fabinho is going to be out for. And Jota's initial injury scan, we thought that would be quite minor, and then it's turned out to be quite serious, which you hope that's not the case for Fabinho. But I think getting them in as soon as possible is going to pay off in the long term if they're needed later in the season, because it's going to have to happen sooner or later. So I think the time's now. So I'd go for the regular defence with the two new signings starting at the back.
And Doyley, talk us through your defence and start to talk us through your midfield as well.
Well, I think if this game's in 3 weeks, I think Tsimikas will be playing left back. I just think it's too early for him to be playing, in the sense of, as the lads have said, you can't have three new defenders in a defence. I'd play the two new lads at centre back, Davis and Kabak. I also don't think Klopp will play Henderson at centre back. I think he'll either play Davis or Phillips, because he did name check him in the press conference, and Trent at right back and Robertson at left back. And in midfield, I just go with the other players that are left. So you've got Henderson will be playing the number 6 role. Even though Wijnaldum was spotted individually training on Wednesday, I think he'll be okay, so he'll play. And I play Curtis Jones, because last couple of games he's played, or he's made an appearance, and he's made a positive difference. And I still don't know why he got subbed against Man City. I think people forget it was 1-1 at the time. And I understand that Liverpool perhaps needed some fresh legs in midfield, but you don't take off the youngest lad, especially the one who'd been playing so well, particularly in the first half. I mean, I know City changed the formation to 4-4-2. There may have been some thinking in that from Jurgen Klopp, but Shaqiri came on, didn't do anything. Milner ran around a little bit, but Jones could have done that. So I'd say Jones. Yeah, although Jones, having said that, Milner played in the 4-0, didn't he? So, no, Jones.
Yeah. Curtis Jones at an absolute certainty for me. Lynchy, what are you going to go for in midfield?
Yeah, so if he does indeed go with Henderson at centre half, I think that leaves 4 midfielders to pick from there. So there is a suggestion, isn't there, that Thiago wasn't involved in training, which sort of kills you for an option in there. So if that's the case, obviously then it's going to be Jones, Wijnaldum and Milner is basically all he's got left to go with. Which is not a terrible midfield either, is it? Or the two more experienced heads there are capable of playing as the 6 or as one of the 8s. So there's different options there, and you trust all of them really to do a job. So it's not even though his hand's been forced there slightly, I don't think it's a terrible midfield, and it's one that could get on top of Leicester. So I think that's my pick is Jones, Wijnaldum and Milner. Sorry.
Yeah, even if there wasn't a doubt over Thiago, I'm not 100% sure I would have played him anyway. I think I'd have had one eye on Leipzig for him, but certainly you wouldn't take any risks with him, would you, Marcus? I mean, are you with us? You're going to go with the same midfield, or is there Chamberlain or someone there to throw in there?
Depending on Thiago, I think Thiago's fit, he plays. I think Wijnaldum will probably be the one to drop out. I'd have Henderson as the 6, and then obviously Jones next to Thiago. But if Thiago is not fit enough to play, I'd put Gini in there. I think this game could be could be well suited to Thiago, especially with Leicester's high press. I think he is going to be key to that transition, and his passes splitting the lines. We've seen it at times at Liverpool. We've seen glimpses of Liverpool's counter attack, and I think if Rodgers does use the style of play, I think that, like I said before, could play into Liverpool's hands, and I think Thiago would be the best man to implement that counter for Liverpool.
Yeah, I'm assuming we're all going to go for the regular front three. If there's no Doyley, you throw in Origi.
Ox, Shaqiri, and Origi. Yeah,
I'm sure.
I think that's an interesting point about Thiago, though, because I think if he was fit, he would play. But I've just got, given the way everything's gone this season for Liverpool, whenever you've seen training pictures, they've never ever come back. So you have to assume his legs.
His season's over because
basically, we might, we might see him again in 2023, possibly.
Quite possibly, yeah. Well, with that being the case, then I think we should move on to our match predictions. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I don't think Liverpool will get beat, but I can't really see them winning either. Lynchy, you said Liverpool were going to batter Manchester City last weekend, so
did you?
After laughing at my what was your prediction last weekend? 3-0, 4-0, something like that?
No, I think I said maybe 3-0. But well, thanks for bringing it up. I'd forgotten about it, so. Yeah. If we're being held to account for these, then I really better think about this one. I think Liverpool they've been able to get the better of Leicester, haven't they, tactically in recent meetings. So, maybe Leicester do a decent performance against Liverpool, but they're still just back Klopp in the battle against Brendan Rodgers. So I think maybe a 2-1 win for Liverpool. I think it's going to be tighter than usual, but they'll just get over the line because it's a big game. Yeah,
certainly going to be tight. Dory, what are you going to go for?
I'm not going to Leicester to get absolutely frozen to see them get beat. So I'm going to say 2-1. 2-1 to Liverpool. And also would like to remind everybody of my recent very good record of guessing these results.
Yes. Marcus, to finish us off, another 2-1 or something different for you?
I do think it would be a very tight game, but I think 2-1's a good guess. But I think Liverpool will get one right to the death to make it 3 and seal the winner as Leicester push forward. So I think I'll go 3-1 Liverpool.
It's almost a Doyle-esque prediction there, very specific in the scenario.
Yeah. The trick going forward is to be as unspecific as possible, so we don't come back and try and point out where you went wrong. But I think that just about brings us to the end of today's podcast. We will be back, of course, on Monday with the next Blood Red podcast, looking back hopefully at a win for Liverpool, whether it's 2-1 or 3-1, and ahead, of course, to the Champions League on Tuesday. That game taking place in Budapest against RB Leipzig. For now, though, from myself, Matt Addison, from Ian Doyle, from David Lynch, and from Marcus Banks, thank you for watching the latest Blood Red podcast, and we'll see you next time.